ABC.
Few things impact our lives as much as weather. It can lift our spirits, change plans, destroy our homes, and yet many myths have grown up around it. So tonight, we turn the rest of this hour over to Good Morning America's Sam Champion. We ask him to sort out the facts from the fables. Sam?
Thanks, John. And because it's the beginning of tornado season, that's where we start. How do you protect yourself and your family for such an awesome force of nature? Ever since they were little girls, Peggy Willenberg and Melanie Metz shared a passion.
Tornado!
They call themselves the Twister Sisters, and they have been storm chasing for almost a decade.
Look at right now, little! Look at that tornado!
They drive hundreds of miles, eyes peeled to the radar, to observe and photograph tornadoes. And they regularly see people who believe the tornado myth that an overpass provides protection.
It's very tempting for people to see this as an area to take shelter, but it's really the very worst place.
Get up under the girders!
This 1991 footage reinforced the myth that taking shelter under an overpass is safe when a tornado hits. But it could be deadly, says Dr. Harold Brooks at the National Storm Laboratory in Norman, Oklahoma.
I think that was a seminal moment in how people viewed tornado safety. There's a chance you can get incredibly lucky and get out of it, like the video crew did. But there's also a chance that it can be a very, very devastating place to be.
That's what Kevin Weber found out in 1999. He parked under this Oklahoma highway overpass to stop his new car from being damaged by hail.
All of a sudden, there's tornadoes maybe forming right over the top of me.
It was an F5 tornado, then the strongest there was. With time running out, he hunkered down. Right beside him were 11-year-old Levi Walton and his mother, Kathleen.
She just said, go and get up there.
And I just buried my face into here and just tried to hug this concrete and steel as hard as I could.
You couldn't hear nothing but the roar.
How in the world did you hold on for that long? If I'd have let go, I'd have zipped out of there 100 miles an hour. Everything's hitting you kind of here. Just constantly sandblasted and debris. Then I got hit with something came through really hard. It just felt like somebody took a baseball bat and just hit my leg, and it went numb. When it was all done, and after we watched the tornado blow away, he just said something about his mother's not here anymore.
They just went out and was looking for her, and everybody was calling for her. She was gone.
Today, a small memorial to Levi's mother sits beside the overpass. And after nearly 9 years, the outlines of where people crouched for cover remain. Levi's name is still etched in the mud. Oh, that car that Kevin didn't want to be damaged by the hailstones was found in a pile a mile away. All that's recognizable is the steering wheel. The science debunking this overpass safety myth has a lot to do with something called the Bernoulli effect.
If you can imagine, say, taking a garden hose and putting your thumb over it, the flow of the water gets a lot stronger going up through that small opening. And that's essentially what the tornado does going through that little area of the overpass. It actually acts as a wind tunnel. It actually accelerates the flow through that little tiny area up underneath where people are trying to hide.
And most overpasses no longer have girders. There's nothing to cling on to, making them very unsafe places to seek shelter. And there's another problem. If you abandon your car in an overpass, emergency vehicles can't get around it. So what do you do if you're riding in your car and a tornado's coming right at you? Well, here's what the experts say, and it may be different than you and I think. Get away from the car. We want to stay where it's safe and dry, but they say get out of the car, find a ditch or a gully, and get as low as you can. It is so counterintuitive to me. I want to stay in my car. It's got airbags. I have a seatbelt on. Why do I need to get out of that car and get into a ditch?
Cars get thrown, 100 yards, and at that point your airbags don't do you a whole lot of good. The ditch beside the highway is not a real good place to be, but it's perhaps a better place than other options because you're getting low and you're putting horizontal material between you and the tornado itself, the dirt that's there.
So what if you're home when a tornado's coming? For decades, we followed the advice of this myth.
And you should open windows or doors to equalize air pressure inside and outside the house.
Really, it's more important to take shelter than try to open or close windows.
Tornado will very efficiently open the windows for you.
Last year, a powerful tornado ripped through Greensburg, Kansas. Daryl and Sylvia Hall didn't waste precious time opening windows. Instead, they got as low as they could. They went down to their basement.
We figured the stairs was the best place.
This would be the area that we were sitting in.
Ethel Mucklow didn't have a basement, but she knew to stay away from windows and go to an interior room in her home.
I went in this closet, and I sit down on a pillow, and I put a pillow over my head.
In just 2 minutes, her house looked like this. 10 people died in Greensburg. The number, though, could have been higher if more people here were myth believers.
It's a twister! It's a twister!
Finally, it's no surprise people think tornadoes only hit rural areas. Remember in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy and her little dog came from a Kansas farm. But just look at the big city of Atlanta last month.
Tornadoes don't care if there's a city there or not. There have been tornadoes recently in New York. Historically, there have been tornadoes that have hit Washington, Philadelphia. Chicago's had significant tornadoes. So essentially any large city, if you wait long enough, will get hit.
Things happen in tornadoes that you just can't believe, and those things are things you don't want to be happening to you.
When 2020 continues, if you're out in the open when lightning strikes, you know the drill.
Does that keep me safe from lightning?
Exploding more myths. Next.
Did you know that 1 in 5 American adults has genital herpes? That's because so few people know they're spreading it. My patients really try to be careful, but many are surprised to learn they can still spread herpes between outbreaks. So you can give herpes to your partner at any time, even without signs or symptoms. The CDC recommends daily medication as part of a plan to reduce the risk of spreading genital herpes. Once daily Valtrex is the only medicine proven to reduce that risk.
Always use safer sex practices with daily therapy, which also includes avoiding sexual contact when you get or think you're getting an outbreak. There's no cure for herpes. Even with treatment, it's possible to spread herpes. Valtrex is for adults with healthy immune systems. To avoid a potentially serious complication, tell your doctor if your immune system isn't normal because of bone marrow or kidney transplant or advanced HIV disease.
I have genital herpes.
And I still don't.
And now we're doing more to help keep it that way.
Ask your doctor about once daily Valtrex and save up to $10 on every 30 caplets at Valtrex.com.
It's the JCPenney lowest prices of the season sale. Get night and day doorbusters Friday and Saturday. JCPenney is the smart place to shop. Go to jcp.com now to see everything on sale in the store. JCPenney, every day matters.
Cheez It packs so much real cheese in such a small bite. People are wondering, how does Cheez It do it?
I know. They just go...
Really? Lots and lots of cheese baked into little bites. Cheez It, the big cheese.
Hi, I'm Scott Everett Logan. I practice martial arts, and I love my leave. Pain is an old friend of mine. I inherited arthritis. It started in, I think I started noticing it when I was 18. That's when I first started noticing it. Going through boot camp in the military. Pain is in my joints, both knees, my right hip, and my right elbow. I carry it around with me because it's the best thing I've taken so far, and it works. For me, it works. If I'm going to rename a leave, I would rename it, it relieves the pain.
You'll be amazed where a pen can take you during the Lincoln Signature Event. Now, drive select 08 Lincoln vehicles with zero cash due at signing, including the Lincoln MKX with exclusive sync technology, standard. Get zero first month's payment, zero down, and zero cash due at signing on Lincoln MKX for $459 a month. From the fastest growing full line of luxury vehicles, Lincoln.
So, it's soup and salad and breadsticks for $5.95.
That's a lot of ads.
It's lunch at Olive Garden, featuring our homemade soups and garden fresh salad and warm breadsticks. All you want for just $5.95 at Olive Garden.
Try Super Shots from Promise with natural plant sterols. When consumed with meals, plant sterols are clinically proven to help remove cholesterol every day, so you'll have less of it in your life. Reduce cholesterol 1 3-ounce shot at a time. Super Shots from Promise. Love your heart.
Set your alarm for Kohl's Super Saturday this Saturday with early bird specials from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Save on Sonoma Life and Style, Junior Sew Apparel, and all kitchen electrics. Kohl's Super Saturday starts Saturday at 7 a.m. Kohl's, expect great things.
Thursday.
They're here.
All new Grey's Anatomy.
My brain is clicking and running.
She's wretched.
Intestines in the hand. Did he just say intestine in the hand?
And an all new Lost.
I'm gonna kill your daughter.
Daddy!
Welcome to the war. We're all gonna die.
Start fresh with all new episodes.
Gotta get back to having fun.
Thursday starting at 8, 7 Central with an all new Ugly Betty on ABC.
Perhaps no weather phenomenon has more myths around it than lightning. We've been warned, for example, to stay off the phone, crouch down if you're caught in a field, or run for the nearest tree maybe, but are any of those rules right? That loud bang and stunning flash. Temperatures hotter than the sun. In our popular imagination, lightning has the power to create life.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
To send us back in time, or rather, back to the future. And as the myth goes, lightning never strikes twice.
It can, it does, and it happened to me.
Paul Williams was only 12 the first time he was struck by lightning. He was in the Boy Scouts when a thunderstorm blew through their campsite.
And before we knew it, we were kind of thrown onto the ground. Didn't burn us, but it gave us kind of rubber legs. You couldn't stand up. It just kind of collapsed your legs.
Paul and his friends recovered quickly, but years later, lightning, it seemed, came looking for him again. He'd been sailing on the Potomac and docked in calm weather at a friend's house.
And all of a sudden, the wind picked up. We were on the porch, and we saw the boat starting to rock, so we knew we had to come down and tie it down. And we did not see any lightning or thunder. We wouldn't have run out there. And it was literally the first bolt that came out of the sky happened to land right between us.
For the second time in his life, Paul had been struck by lightning. He blacked out and fell on his back.
I woke up, and all I could see was a gray sky, and it had knocked out my hearing, so everything was completely silent.
Paul's friends carried him, dazed, inside the house. His hearing came back, but he had blistering burns from his legs to his shoulders. He still keeps the tattered swim trunks he was wearing.
It looks as though a bear claw had taken its swipe right across the front. It was literally in shreds.
Now, it's merely bad luck that lightning struck Paul twice, but it's no coincidence that tall structures like the Eiffel Tower and the Sears Tower get struck all the time. That's because taller objects provide the shortest path from the cloud to the ground. In fact, the Empire State Building is struck by lightning an average of 23 times a year. And there's more bad news for men like Paul.
Aren't you afraid that you're going to get struck by...
It's true. Lightning does strike men more than women, but not because men actually attract the lightning like this ad for Diet Mountain Dew suggests, but rather because men tend to spend more time outdoors than women. Nationwide, lightning kills about 100 people every year, but it kills more people in Florida than any other state because of Florida's frequent thunderstorms. That makes it the perfect place for scientists like Dr. Martin Heumann to study lightning. Here in his lab, Dr. Heumann studies lightning by pulling it down from the sky with these small rockets. The rocket tows a copper wire longer than the Empire State Building, and that attracts lightning.
3, 2, 1, fire.
And when it does, it's an explosion of scientific data. There's not a myth about lightning that Dr. Heumann hasn't heard.
There are a number of different things that we've heard through the years. You should stand on one foot. You should get down on the ground. You should lay flat on the ground. You should run under a tree. You should run under a shelter. What should I do?
I wouldn't stay out in the field on one leg or squatting or lying or anything else if I could run for a car or run for a structure.
I'm on the telephone. I'm listening to the radio. I'm watching the television. I'm at great danger in a thunderstorm, a lightning storm. True or false?
If the telephone doesn't have any wires If it's a portable phone, it's okay. Watching the TV is always okay. We even recommend that, right? Watching ABC, of course.
If you're holding on to a corded phone or an appliance plugged into an outlet, look out. But for the most part, buildings are the safest place to be.
If you can't get into a substantial building, get into an all-metal car.
We'll tell you more about cars later in the show, but what if you're caught in a thunderstorm and a building or a car is just too far away?
If I'm out in the middle of a field and I do a 3-prong crouch down to get low, does that keep me safe from lightning?
Well, the 3-prong crouch, no, I don't think so.
Squatting on just one leg or with your feet together like this can prevent ground currents from finding a path through your body. But
if your number is up for that location on the field, then it won't matter whether you're on one leg or standing up. So the best thing is to get off the field.
And if you run into a forest, surprisingly, you may be safe. That's if all the trees are the same size. It's just as likely that lightning will hit one tree as another, so your odds of avoiding a strike are pretty good. But if one tree is taller, the bets are all off.
You don't want to be under the tallest tree, for sure, because it's a better target for lightning.
Remember, if you're caught in a storm, the safest place to be is inside a building. But be sure to avoid using any plumbing or plugged-in appliances. If you can't get inside, get in a car. But the safest thing is not to get caught out in the storm in the first place. Take it from the guy who's been zapped twice.
I keep my eye in the sky a lot. And if I hear thunder on the horizon, I'll just pick up my food and just head right inside.
When 2020 returns, gain an hour, give it back. Why do we have daylight saving time?
Definitely an energy saver, true or false?
Next.
Papa John's has captured the spirit of Italy in every bite, with your choice of 2 authentic tastes, like the new rustic Italian meats pizza, topped with 3 cheeses, spicy Italian sausage, red onions, and more. Or our Tuscan 6-cheese pizza with a crispy, thin crust. Your choice, just $11.99 each. Call or click papajohns.com. Get a large rustic Italian meats or Tuscan 6-cheese pizza, $11.99 each. Taste one today. Try the other tomorrow.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Don't hold back.
Express yourself.
Express yourself by asking your doctor about Botox Cosmetic. Visit BotoxCosmetic.com. Get some of your toughest questions answered about the one, the only Botox Cosmetic. It's all about freedom of expression.
Everybody got their something. Everybody got their something.
Think your style stands out from the crowd? Go to Kmart.com/style and you can join these 4 real women in our national campaign. You could win $10,000 in Kmart gift cards, plus other fabulous prizes. If you've got it, bring it. Go to Kmart.com/style to enter.
Everybody got their something.
This is like cute best man good.
No, this is like burning this dress good.
Never having to stand in line at the ladies' room good.
Rich, creamy Yoplait yogurt. It is so good.
Not catching the bouquet good.
Sunday, with the Democrats still at it, a This Week exclusive, John McCain, one-on-one with George. So what's he really have to say about the competition? Sunday, don't miss This Week, live from its new home on Pennsylvania Avenue at Washington's Museum.
Spring forward, fall back. That's the daylight saving time mantra, but why do we change the clocks anyway? Does it really help anyone? It's a twice-a-year ritual.
The reminder daylight saving time, set those clocks ahead.
Moving the clocks ahead 1 hour on the daylight saving time in the spring, and then back again to standard time in the fall. The idea was, by moving the clocks forward, we'd be shifting an hour of daylight into the evening hour when we could really use it. But where did that idea come from?
I know it started because of farmers. I'm almost sure of that.
It gives them extra time to plant, extra time to harvest.
I remember years ago hearing that it was for the farm people.
But this farm couple was surprised to hear that. Really?
Really? I thought it was commerce.
Indiana sheep farmers Alice and Pierce McKinney don't even rely on the clock. They're up in the pre-dawn darkness each day to feed their sheep and baby lambs, no matter what time it is.
We don't use an alarm. Getting up's like sneezing.
In fact, when the state of Indiana voted recently to join the rest of us in daylight saving time, many of their fellow farmers actually lobbied against it.
We did fight pretty hard not to have it.
As president of the Indiana Farmers Union, Jim Benham heard his members loud and clear.
I know really no farmer that I'm aware of that benefits from actually farm activities having daylight savings time.
You must understand that farmers don't like change. This growing old's kind of getting on me.
Who's growing old?
Well, not you, but I mean, it happens.
So it's a myth that we follow daylight saving time to help out the farmers. It seems the real reason Congress asked us to switch our clocks back and forth is to save on energy, an idea that can be traced all the way back to Benjamin Franklin, and he said it jokingly as a way to save on candle usage. But what if we told you that even the energy-saving part might be a myth? Saving electricity was the reason the U.S. first tried national daylight saving during the World Wars. But as these movie theater ads from the 1930s and 40s show, many thought it was a bad idea.
You see, in this daylight saving thing, when it's 5 o'clock, it's 6. When it's 6, it's 7. When it's 7, it's 8.
Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. What do you think I am, an adding machine?
Despite the ridicule, the energy crisis of the 70s led Congress to promote daylight saving time again. The reason? By moving an hour of light into the evening, we would use less energy for heating and lighting our homes. So we were surprised to hear from this man.
Daylight savings time saves energy. Definitely an energy saver. We wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't. True or false?
What's surprising is that there's very little evidence to support that claim.
Economist Matthew Cochin of the University of California says Congress has supported and even extended daylight saving time for decades, based largely on one flawed 1970s study.
The results were found to be not statistically significant.
How do you lay a success claim to a policy if the answer to the question is within the margin of error?
I think you're going to have to ask the politicians to give you an answer for that one.
So we did.
To extend daylight savings time.
Congressman Ed Markey of Massachusetts has supported daylight saving time since the 80s.
Do we really save energy in 2008 by changing time?
I don't think there's any question that we do save energy by moving the hour to the evening.
But new research found just the opposite. After Indiana went through its first statewide daylight saving time in 2006, Matthew Cochin was able to compare power use by homeowners before and after. He was surprised to find people used more. Yes, more power.
Residential electricity increased between 1% to 4%.
Why? Well, thanks to the law of unintended consequences, moving an hour of sunlight to summer evenings could mean something not thought of, running the air conditioner an extra hour. Markey says these findings don't apply to the whole country and points out that daylight saving had other benefits, including fewer pedestrian traffic deaths.
And by the way, it also reduces the crime rate because criminals tend not to work when it's still daylight. So if you can move the sunshine to the evening, believe it or not, it reduces the crime rate in the evening because they wait until it gets a little bit darker.
We have studies on lazy criminals?
Oh, yeah. They just don't like that 5 a.m. work shift, you know.
And Markey says a soon-to-be-released energy study could prove him right about daylight saving time. And even if it doesn't,
it still brings a smile to people's faces.
And many Indiana farmers now agree. The Farmers Union has dropped their opposition, and no one seems to mind.
Well, you've got the same amount of daylight, whether the clock says it's there or not.
When 2020 returns, your car is skidding out of control. What's the right way to turn the wheel? What you think is probably wrong. When 2020 continues, after this from our ABC stations.
I'm Jim Gardner. We're 4 days away from the primary, and the candidates are blazing a trail through Pennsylvania.
I'm meteorologist Cecily Tynan. A summary start to the weekend, but then a dose of reality in the AccuWeather forecast.
Pope Benedict makes history in New York, doing something no other pope has done before, on Action News at 11.
Now it's clear. The Philadelphia Inquirer calls Rob McCord the most qualified candidate and urges Democrats to support Rob McCord for state treasurer. Rob McCord is the only Democrat with real investment experience. For treasurer, Rob McCord.
Reach out and press here, and here, and here. Feel how better placement of controls leads to better focus on the road? If not, that's because there's only one place to experience the intuitive design of the RX. Your Lexus dealer. Where you can lease the 2009 RX all-wheel drive for $499 a month for 36 months with $35.99 due at signing.
Guess what, big companies? This small business just got internet with Microsoft Communication Services, only from Comcast. Now these productivity titans can share documents, back up files, and update calendars just like you. Now they've got your tools, and they're coming for your customers next. Booyah. Comcast Business Class. Turn your office on.
Call now to get Comcast Business Class voice, internet, and TV for $99 a month.
Now it's clear. The Philadelphia Inquirer calls Rob McCord the most qualified candidate and urges Democrats to support Rob McCord for state treasurer. Rob McCord is the only Democrat with real investment experience. For treasurer, Rob McCord.
Your weather continues with Sam Champion.
You never know where you're going to be when bad weather strikes. You could even be in your car.
Across the state, cars are stuck and roads are closed.
When driving gets hazardous, we rely on habits, tried and true techniques. But how true are they?
A tornado warning continues until 4 p.m.
Let's say you're driving and encounter a tornado. First reaction?
Look at this! This is incredible!
Often, the next reaction is...
You can outdrive that tornado.
Absolutely not. That is a myth. Tornadoes change direction without any notice, and you don't know what the road in front of you is going to look like. There could be debris. You could have a roadway that's blocked. Where are you going to go?
Automotive expert and former race car driver Lauren Fix calls herself the car coach.
But I've seen this. I've seen people in cars outdrive tornadoes.
You've seen the storm chasers. These people are professional, and this is not something the average driver should even attempt. If you see a tornado, find shelter immediately. Your car is a 4,000-pound toy, and it can be tossed at anywhere, at any time.
The winter season's full of myths about snow, ice, and freezing temperatures. So what better place to get to the cold, hard truth than about 9,000 feet up in the Colorado Rockies. A place like here in Steamboat Springs can get 30 feet of snow in an early winter season, and it rarely gets above freezing. Well, that's great for the ski conditions, but for driving, well, that's something completely different.
It's up to 2 feet of snow, and it's packing something worse, ice. It's a travel nightmare.
If you start to skid in the ice or snow, just realize that it's not the end of the world. First and foremost, don't panic.
Mark Cox is the director of the Bridgestone Winter Driving School in Steamboat Springs.
Normally, people will either let go of the steering wheel, yank the steering wheel, and/or jam on the brakes. None of these things helps you in correcting a skid.
We're often told, steer into a skid. But is that true? Let's say the car skids and the front end turns to the right. Many people would believe steering into the skid means turning the car to the right. Big mistake. The skid actually happens because the rear wheels have slipped to the left. So steering into the skid means you should be steering left. But to avoid all that confusion, Cox tells his students,
look in the direction that you'd rather have the car be going and steer that way.
Another winter driving myth? Always warm up the car. This one simply isn't true.
Modern cars deal really well with cold, and you can start it up pretty quickly and take off right away within 30 seconds, and it's fine.
In fact, experts say idling the car wastes gas, and that's bad for the environment. It's April, and April showers may bring May flowers, but they may also bring something else. Flooding. Don't buy into the myth that you can drive through a flooded road, even if you think it's just a puddle.
If it's flooded roadways from a river, a creek, or a lake, you do not want to drive through it, because anything that's even a foot deep of water, which is not much at all, can cause your vehicle to float.
Spring storms also bring...
Oh, my God!
Lightning. And the myth people continue to believe, no matter what they've been told, that you're safe in your car if you get struck by lightning because rubber tires insulate your car from lightning.
Why do people believe that it's the rubber in the tire that keeps them safe from lightning?
Rubber is an insulator, but in reality, if you get struck by lightning, it will travel down to the ground and stop itself.
The popular British TV show Top Gear decided to put the myth to the test. Host Richard Hammond was the guinea pig.
They're going to zap me and this car with 800,000 volts. You might be thinking that the tires are going to protect me by insulating the car from earth because they're rubber.
Inside the car, he waits.
He's starting to raise the voltage. You can almost feel the tension. I'm being hit by lightning. Hey! Oh, now it's doing stuff to my car. I've got error up on the dashboard. I'm alive.
It wasn't the tires that kept him safe. The one thing that did protect him from the lightning strike was the car's metal frame, because the electricity traveled around the passenger compartment and down to the ground.
The reason you're protected in your vehicle is there's a lot of plastic and a lot of non-metal components. Best thing is, don't touch anything metal, keep your hand to yourself, and pull over and park in a safe place if you can.
But what happened to Hammond's car?
And it starts. It still works. Amazing.
Not everyone is so lucky.
My poor little car was totaled.
Wendy Allen was struck by lightning as she drove on a rural Mississippi highway.
It was raining very heavily. It was thundering and lightning. And I just saw bright light, intense light, filled up my car for just a split second. But it was a deafening bang. And I knew.
Her car antenna was destroyed. That's where the lightning struck. It fried the car's electrical system and exited through the trunk, right there at that little scorch mark. And again, it wasn't the rubber in the tires that saved her.
I wasn't touching anything metal in the car.
Safer to stay in your car than get out of your car, you think?
It's absolutely safer to stay in the car than get out of the car.
There is not a doubt in my mind that I'm incredibly lucky to be alive today. My car saved my life.
When 2020 returns, it's only a movie. But could it happen to you on your dream vacation?
Oh my God.
Next.
This year, during Jumbo Shrimp at Red Lobster, there are more ways than ever to satisfy your Jumbo Shrimp cravings. From mouth-watering entrees like Jumbo Scampi and Crunch Fried to our newest creation, fire-grilled Jumbo Shrimp topped with a decadent lobster butter sauce, all served with warm Cheddar Bay biscuits. It's Jumbo Shrimp, starting at $11.99. Right now, only at Red Lobster. Come see what's fresh today.
Back pain? You don't have to just rely on pain relievers. Now you can take 2 of these. Dr. Scholl's Pain Relief Orthotics with Shock Guard. They're clinically proven and absorb jarring shock with every step you take. Take Dr. Scholl's for back pain or knee pain.
We need a bigger home. Until we sell this one, we're stuck.
Ready to sell? RE/MAX agents have the experience to get the job done in today's market. Visit RE/MAX.com today. It's May.
Hot. It'll feel like summer in April.
In April?
And where's the only place you'll see it?
Only on Good Morning America.
Next Friday.
Here on ABC.
All the stars have one person in their sights.
We're gonna get into a girl fight.
Yeah, I'm ready to tackle it.
Watch out, Christy. Monday, they'll have 2 dances to bring her down.
I'm gonna bring it on.
Dancing with the Stars, live Monday, 8/7 Central on ABC.
No fun to be sick. We take lots of vitamins.
To be 100.
Now.
Across Pennsylvania, families are struggling. What's Hillary? G sedan for $349 a month for 24 months.
It seems like there's nothing like a natural disaster to get Hollywood's imagination going, but do movies like the Poseidon Adventure reflect real life or distort it?
Nothing matches Mother Nature gone wild in those weather disaster movies. The special effects can blow an audience right out of their seats. And you'll definitely think twice about going on a cruise after seeing Poseidon. An enormous ocean wave, bigger than anything ever recorded, capsizes a cruise ship, and only a few passengers survive. In another maritime movie, global warming causes water to cover the Earth. The science is so shaky in Waterworld that Kevin Costner even grows webbed feet. And take a look behind his ears. Gills. Is good science a myth in these movies? It's hard to tell when convincing visuals give life to fictitious weather catastrophes, from inland hurricanes to an imaginary ice age.
I mean, cinema makes good science and bad science equally realistic.
Author David Kirby attended a recent National Science Foundation meeting of scientists and entertainment producers.
You should worry about the small details.
Their topic, legitimate science in TV and film. Kirby says audiences can be naive, some worrying about lava in their own backyards, for example, after seeing Volcano. In that movie, Tommy Lee Jones has good instincts when he first discovers a problem beneath Los Angeles.
Find me a scientist! Somebody tell me what the hell is going on!
You have to have the right scientist.
That would be Jake Lowenstern, the geologist in charge of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. So how realistic is a lava flow down Wilshire Boulevard?
Los Angeles is not one of the more likely places to have a volcanic eruption anytime soon. That one was a little bit outrageous.
Lowenstern says movies need a scientific base. Case in point, another volcano movie, Dante's Peak.
This mountain's a ticking bomb.
Pierce Brosnan, the scientist, predicts the eruption. It's an explosion of ash and gases, obliterating buildings, toppling trees, and spreading destruction for miles.
That's one of the scenes that probably is the most scientifically accurate. We know from when Mount St. Helens erupted, it blew outwards and it laid all the trees down in one direction.
Kevin Furlong and Chuck Ammon used clips from a dozen movies to supplement a course at Penn State University on natural disasters.
Every clip is another exercise in critical thinking. Was that real? Was that fake? Is that realistic or is that completely unrealistic?
The professors find the worse the movie, the better the teaching tool. One of their favorites? Twister.
Cow. Cows are flying through the air. You can hear them move.
It's like the Wizard of Oz.
I mean, am I right? With this thing's going to go by you so quickly you don't even know it's a cow.
Oh, sure, because you know that it's going at, 200 miles per hour or faster?
It's moving at bullet speeds.
Some people got very angry about this in the weather profession because it makes it look like you don't need to get out of the way of a tornado.
Well, I think there's always that risk with any of these natural disaster movies that you are making it appear that people can survive them.
Here's a shot of Hurricane Katrina. There's the eye of the storm.
The class arms these students with the knowledge of real weather catastrophes.
Katrina storm surges were on the order of 15 feet and in a couple places up to 30 feet.
But the storm surge in The Day After Tomorrow nearly covers the Statue of Liberty, a whopping 300 feet. That's 10 times the size of Hurricane Katrina's storm surge.
I think we're on the verge of a major climate shift.
In this 2004 blockbuster, global warming triggers a change in ocean patterns, setting off hailstorms in Tokyo, tornadoes in Los Angeles,
This tornado just came and erased the Hollywood site.
and the enormous tidal surge that engulfs Manhattan. The movie's visual effects supervisor was Karen Gulikas.
You start all of these and you say, okay, it's a 30-foot storm tide, a wall of water, but then you look in the shot, and in some shots 30 feet looks too wimpy, and so you just scale it up. What are you going to do, show the water going up to the ankles of the Statue of Liberty? I mean, you know, it's obviously if the Statue of Liberty is getting covered over, it's like, uh-oh, we're in big trouble.
Let's go!
The biggest trouble? An ice age that flash freezes most of the world. These clearly made-up weather events in The Day After Tomorrow still resonated with the audience. In one study, a Yale professor found that after watching the movie, viewers were encouraged to engage in personal, political, and social action to address climate change. The Day After Tomorrow dramatizes global warming with scenes like this.
The whole damn show
These glaciers are so beautiful.
Al Gore's 2006 documentary, An Inconvenient Truth, makes the same point with actual video of ice shelves calving. Which shots have more impact?
And if you were flying over it in a helicopter, you'd see it's 700 feet tall. They are so majestic.
Wait a minute. That shot looks just like the one in the opening credits of The Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's our shot. That's a fully computer-generated shot. There's nothing real in there.
Audiences expect Hollywood to twist fact into fiction.
And just before
But Gore's documentary does the opposite, using a fake shot to make a real point, that ice shelves are disappearing, and vanishing ice means global warming.
There was one hell of a shot. I think it's great that he used it.
It seems the decision for now is left to the audience. Can the same created image educate and entertain us about our planet in change?
And it raises another question for you to consider. Is it wrong for a documentary to use a fabricated Hollywood shot to make a point, even if there's science behind it? We tried to ask Al Gore in the movie studio, but neither responded to our calls. John Stossel will be back right after this.
I'm Jim Gardner. 3 things you need to know in order to improve your credit score. And will the summer-like weather survive the weekend? Meteorologist Cecily Tynan with that AccuWeather forecast next on Action News Tonight.
Oh, great.
Log on to my webpage at abcnews.com. If you give us some original and surprising ones, we'll put them on 2020 and in our next myth book. I'm John Stossel. For Elizabeth Vargas and all of us at ABC News and 2020, we're in touch, so you be in touch.
When it comes to late night laughs,